The day has asked enough of you. For now there is nothing to arrange, nothing to answer, and nowhere you need to be except here, at the covered streetcar stop at the foot of a rain-darkened hill. It is early evening in a small town built on rising streets. The roofs step upward in calm rows, and warm windows appear one by one above the wet pavement. A narrow green streetcar waits beneath the shelter, its wooden sides shining under amber lamps. It will carry you to a garden hotel near the top of the hill, where a room has already been prepared. You stand beneath the curved glass roof of the stop, listening to rain settle into an even pattern. It taps the panes overhead, gathers along the metal frame, and runs in clear threads toward the gutter. The air is cool enough to make the wool at your collar feel especially welcome. You are carrying only a small overnight bag. It rests beside your shoe, close enough that you do not need to think about it. In one pocket of your coat is a brass streetcar token, round and smooth at the edges, with a tiny leaf stamped into its center. The token was given to you earlier that afternoon at the town desk in the station below. The clerk had said that the last hill car of the evening would accept it. There had been no urgency in the words, only a useful piece of information and a simple direction. Take the green car to the upper garden stop. Now the car is here. Its front lamp casts a warm oval across the rails. Rain has darkened the steel to the color of slate. Between the tracks, small stones glisten. And beyond the street curves around a row of brick buildings with deep awnings and softly lit doorways. The streetcar operator steps down to check the rail switch. He wears a dark coat and a flat cap beaded with rain. His movements are practiced and unhurried. He sets one polished lever in place, gives it a careful look, and then returns to the car. The door opens with a low wooden fold. You lift your bag and step aboard. Inside, the car is warm without being stuffy. Long benches run beneath the windows. Their wood has been polished by many years of coats, gloves, parcels, and quiet journeys uphill. Small brass handles hang at intervals from a rail above, though there are plenty of open seats tonight. You place the token into the fare box. It drops with a small, satisfying note. The operator glances at the stamped leaf before the token disappears. He gives you a friendly nod, then points toward the bench on the left. That side has the best view of the terraces, he says. Those are the only words needed. You settle onto the bench and place your bag by your feet. The seat is firm and smooth. The window beside you is cool, its lower corners misted by the difference between the rainy air outside and the warmth within. There are two other passengers farther back. One is reading a folded newspaper beneath a lamp. The other holds a paper parcel on her lap, tied with plain string. Neither person speaks. Their presence gives the car an easy, ordinary feeling, as though this journey has been made many evenings before and will be made many evenings again. The operator closes the door. A small bell sounds once, clear but not sharp. The streetcar leans almost imperceptibly into motion. At first, the wheels move with a measured click over the jointed rail. Then the sound becomes steadier, a low metal rhythm beneath the rain. The stop slides behind you. The shelter, the curved glass roof, and the dark shine of the lower street all drift out of view. You may let your breathing become easy now. There is no need to deepen it or count it. The car is doing the climbing for you. The first block rises gradually. Shops line both sides of the street, their awnings lowered against the weather. A bakery is closing for the night. Through the window, you see a worker turning a wooden sign inward, then drawing a curtain across a case of empty trays. A warm trace of bread seems to linger near the doorway, even through the rain. Next comes a narrow shop with green-painted shelves. Ceramic bowls stand in the window beside folded linens and small jars of tea. The glass reflects the passing streetcar lamps, so that for a moment the bowls appear to hold amber light. The car rounds a bend. The town begins to open below you. Roofs overlap toward the river, each one shining beneath the steady rain. Chimneys, dormer windows, and old brick walls form a pattern that feels detailed from nearby and simple from a distance. The operator turns a brass handle. The motor answers with a deeper hum. You feel the car settle into the incline, patient and dependable. A row of plane trees follows the curve of the street. Their wet trunks are dark, and the last leaves of the season cling in patches to the branches. Whenever a branch passes near a lamp, the leaves show their deep green surfaces before folding back into evening. The rain has no wind behind it. It comes straight down, gentle and constant, drawing fine lines through the lamplight. Water runs beside the curb in narrow ribbons, carrying tiny reflections downhill. You rest one hand on the polished edge of the bench. The wood is warm from the car. Beneath your fingers, you can feel shallow marks left by years of use. Not damage exactly, but the soft record of ordinary travel. At the next stop, the car slows beneath a striped awning. The passenger with the paper parcel stands, thanks the operator, and steps down. She crosses only a few paces before entering a doorway lit by a square amber lamp. The door closes behind her. The streetcar moves on. There is something restful in watching a person arrive exactly where she intended to go. No delay, no problem to solve. Just a small parcel carried from one warm place to another. The hill becomes steeper. Brick storefronts give way to narrow houses with covered porches. Rain beads along the porch rails. Ferns in stone planters bend slightly under the water and rise again. Some windows are curtained. Others reveal a table, a lamp, a shelf of books, or the green leaves of a houseplant. Each glimpse lasts only a second. No room asks you to understand it. The streetcar passes, and the window becomes part of the town below. The newspaper reader turns one page. Paper makes a dry whisper in the warm car. You watch a line of water gather at the top of your window and travel slowly down. It divides around one clear patch, joins another line near the frame, and disappears below the sill. The wheels continue their even work. Click and hum. Rain and rail. A brief bell at a crossing, then the deeper sound of the climb. The route carries you through a small square paved with dark stone. At its center stands a fountain with a wide circular basin. The water is turned low for the evening, and the rain adds its own pattern to the surface. Around the square, covered walkways connect a post office, a grocer, and a cafe. The cafe windows are fogged at the edges. Inside, a person wipes a table, while another stacks cups near a brass machine. The streetcar pauses at the far side of the square. No one boards. No one gets off. For a few seconds, the car rests beneath the rain. The motor becomes quiet, and the sound on the roof grows more noticeable. Thousands of small drops arrive, each one separate, and yet part of the same steady texture. Then the operator releases the brake, and the car begins again. Beyond the square, the rails enter a quieter part of town. The houses stand farther apart here, with stone walls and small gardens rising behind them. Box hedges shine beneath the rain. Gravel paths curve from wooden gates to sheltered front steps. The streetcar windows hold a faint reflection of the interior. You can see the amber ceiling lamps, the empty bench across from you, and the pale outline of your own coat layered over the passing street. For a while, reflection and view move together. A lamp inside the car floats across a garden wall. The brass rail appears to run through the branches of a cedar. Your hand on the bench becomes briefly visible against a distant window, then fades when the car passes beneath a darker stretch of trees. The newspaper reader folds the paper into a smaller square. At the next stop, he places it under one arm and rises. The operator opens the door beside a covered stairway. The man steps down, lifts one hand in thanks, and begins up the steps. A roof follows the stairway all the way to a house above, so he remains beneath shelter as the car pulls away. Now you are the only passenger. The quiet does not feel empty. The operator is at the front, the lamps remain warm, and the streetcar keeps its familiar rhythm. You have the sense of being carried inside a small moving room. The route turns away from the houses and follows the edge of a public garden. A low iron fence runs beside the track. Beyond it, broad leaves collect rain beneath old trees. Gravel paths curve between dark lawns and disappear under arbors. At this hour, the garden gates are closed, but the streetcar gives you a clear view through the fence. A greenhouse stands near the lower path, its long roof made of many glass panes. Most of the building is dim. One lamp remains lit near the entrance, and a band of warm color lies across the wet floor inside. You watch until the greenhouse slips behind a stand of cedars. The brass token comes to mind. Though it is no longer in your pocket, you can still remember its weight, the smooth edge, and the stamped leaf. It has already done its simple work. It brought you through the folding door and onto this bench. Nothing more was required of it. The streetcar crosses a short stone bridge over a narrow stream. Rainwater moves beneath the arch, dark and full, but not hurried. A small lantern on the bridge rail shows the pale foam where the current passes over flat rocks. On the other side, the street begins another long curve. The town below is farther away now. Its lower streets have become lines of amber points softened by rain. The river appears between the rooftops, broad and nearly black, carrying a few long reflections from the lamps along the quay. Above the town, clouds rest low over the hill. They do not hide the route. The rails are clear, the car is warm, and each stop is marked by a lamp beneath a small green roof. You pass one stop without pausing. Its bench is empty, and the rain has washed the wooden slats to a darker brown. At the next, a basket of clipped branches waits beneath the shelter. Someone has placed it safely against the wall, perhaps to collect later. The leaves are glossy and deep green. Water beads along their edges. The operator slows, looks toward the shelter, then continues when no passenger appears. The climb becomes easier. The streetcar has reached a broad shelf in the hillside, where the road runs level for several blocks. Here the buildings are older and lower. Many have glass canopies extending over the sidewalk, making a continuous covered arcade. Under the canopies, people move at an easy pace. One person carries a closed umbrella. Another walks beside a bicycle, its basket covered with a square of waxed cloth. A shopkeeper sweeps a little water away from a doorway, though more rain continues to fall beyond the glass roof. The streetcar rolls close enough for you to see the details of the shop windows. There is a stationery store with cream paper, dark pencils, and ribbon arranged in shallow wooden trays. A clock repair shop displays 3 simple round faces, all quiet behind the glass. A florist has filled its window with ferns, eucalyptus, and branches of small white berries. Nothing is bright enough to pull at your attention. Each window offers a brief arrangement, then gives way to the next. At the end of the arcade, the track separates from the road. The streetcar enters a private right-of-way between 2 stone walls. Moss grows in the joints. Narrow drainage channels carry rain alongside the rails. The car moves more quietly here. Without the sound of street traffic, you hear the motor's low tone and the gentle brush of water beneath the wheels. The operator adjusts the handle by 1 notch. Ahead, a small tunnel passes through the final rise. Its entrance is lined with pale stone and lit by 2 amber lamps. The streetcar enters at an unhurried pace. Inside, the rain on the roof becomes distant. The wheel sounds deepen and return from the curved walls in smooth, even echoes. Amber lights pass at measured intervals, touching the windows and the polished bench. The tunnel is short. A blue-gray opening remains visible ahead from the moment you enter. When the car emerges, the upper hill spreads before you. The rain is finer here, almost a mist, though it still makes a steady sound against the glass. The road is level. Tall cedars stand beyond a stone terrace, their upper branches resting in the low cloud. Farther along the track, you see the roof of the upper garden stop. It is wider than the shelters below, with a waiting room on one side and a covered walkway extending toward a cluster of buildings. The streetcar begins to slow. The rails pass through a gate standing open between stone pillars. Each pillar holds a lamp behind ribbed glass. Their amber circles slide across the car, one after the other. The operator rings the bell once. The upper stop waits ahead, warm and dry beneath its broad roof. Beyond it, through the rain, a long glass conservatory glows among the cedars. The Garden Hotel is there. The streetcar comes to rest beside the platform with a final low hum. For a moment, nothing moves except the rain tracing the windows. The operator opens the folding door and steps aside. You lift your bag, rise from the warm bench, and walk toward the front of the car. "Covered path all the way," he says, nodding toward the walkway. You thank him and step onto the platform. The roof above is made of wood and glass, supported by dark green posts. Rain taps across it in a broad, even layer. The platform boards are dry beneath your shoes, and a line of small lamps leads toward the waiting room. Behind you, the streetcar remains at the stop. Its interior looks especially warm from outside, every window filled with amber light. The operator checks the platform, closes the door, and takes his place at the controls. The bell sounds once. The car begins its return downhill, rolling away with the same steady patience that brought you here. Its red rear lamp passes beneath the first pool of light, then the second, becoming smaller between the wet rails. You stand beneath the shelter until the car rounds the curve. The sound of its wheels fades into the rain. Nothing replaces it quickly. The upper hill has its own quieter arrangement of sounds. Water on glass, a nearby stream moving over stone, and the faint indoor murmur of the conservatory ahead. You adjust the handle of your bag and follow the covered path. The walkway begins beside the waiting room and curves through a stand of cedars. Its roof is narrow but complete, with clear panels between wooden beams. Rainwater flows along both sides in copper gutters. Underfoot, the path is laid with flat gray stones. They hold a faint warmth, as though pipes beneath them keep the surface dry on cold evenings. The air smells of wet cedar. It is clean and grounded, with a trace of mineral coolness from the stone. Each step brings you farther from the track and nearer to the glowing glass building. On your left, the hillside drops toward the town. Through spaces between the trunks, you can still see scattered windows below. The lower streets now seem distant, not because you have traveled far, but because the rain has drawn a soft veil between one level of the hill and another. On your right, a low garden wall follows the path. Ferns grow beneath it, protected by the roof's edge. Their leaves are dark and glossy, repeating the small leaf stamped on the token you used below. The path turns. The conservatory comes fully into view. It forms the center of the hotel, a long glass room with a pitched roof and a row of high windows. Warm light rises from lamps placed among broad green plants. Water moves in a shallow fountain near the middle. making a low, continuous sound. The rest of the hotel extends from both ends of the conservatory. The wings are built of pale stone and cedar, with covered balconies overlooking the slope. Each window has a deep green frame. Most curtains are drawn halfway, and a few lamps glow behind them. The covered path meets a porch beneath the conservatory roof. A cedar bench stands beside the entrance. Above it hangs a simple brass sign engraved with the shape of a leaf. You set down your bag for a moment and place one hand on the door handle. The brass is warm. The door opens easily, and a small bell gives a muted note somewhere above the frame. Inside, the temperature changes by a few comfortable degrees. The coolness of the rain remains in your coat, but the air around you is warm and still. The scent of cedar becomes softer here, joined by orange peel and black tea. You close the door behind you. The entrance hall is not large. A woven runner crosses the polished wood floor, leading to a desk beneath a wall lamp. Hooks for coats line one side. On the other, a broad opening looks directly into the conservatory. An innkeeper stands behind the desk, writing in a ledger. She looks up as you enter and closes the book with both hands. She is dressed in a charcoal cardigan over a white shirt. Her silver hair is pinned simply at the back. There is no rush in her expression, only the calm recognition of someone expected. "Your room is ready," she says. She takes a small brass key from a wooden rack behind the desk. A flat green cord is tied through the top, and a leaf has been engraved on the round key tag. The familiar shape makes the key seem connected to the token, the streetcar, and the path through the ferns. One small symbol has followed the route without asking to be noticed. The innkeeper places the key on the desk while you remove your coat. You hang the coat on a cedar peg. The wool is damp only across the shoulders, where a few drops reached you at the platform. Here, in the warm hall, the fabric begins to release the clean scent of rain. The innkeeper comes around the desk and takes your bag before you can reach for it. "I'll leave this in your room," she says. "You may warm up in the garden first." She gestures toward the conservatory. There is nothing to sign. No form waits on the desk. The room has been reserved, the key is ready, and the evening has been arranged in the simplest possible way. You slip the brass key into your pocket. Its weight is slightly different from the token, longer and more useful now, but the smooth metal feels familiar. The innkeeper carries your bag toward a staircase at the far end of the hall. Her steps are light on the runner. She turns once at the first landing and points to a table near the conservatory entrance. "Tea there whenever you like." Then she continues upward. You enter the garden room. The glass roof rises above you in dark, rain-patterned panes. Amber lamps hang from iron brackets along the stone walls. Their light catches the edges of leaves and rests in warm circles on the tiled floor. The conservatory is larger than it appeared from outside, but it is arranged in a way that makes each part feel sheltered. Tall plants stand near the glass. Lower ferns and broad-leafed pots form quiet borders around chairs, tables, and narrow paths. At the center, The fountain fills a shallow stone basin. Water rises only a few inches before falling back over a rounded edge. Its sound blends with the rain overhead until the two are difficult to separate. You walk to the tea table. A dark ceramic pot rests on a warming stand. Beside it are 2 cups, a small bowl of dried orange peel, and a covered plate with plain oat biscuits. A folded linen napkin lies beneath a pair of silver tongs. You choose 1 cup. It is cream-colored, with a thin green line around the rim. When you lift the teapot, warmth enters your palm through the handle. The tea pours in a dark amber stream. A small curl of steam rises, carrying the scent of citrus and leaves. You add 1 piece of orange peel. It turns once on the surface, then rests beside the cup's edge. With tea in hand, you choose a chair near the fountain. The chair is made of bent wood and has a deep green cushion. Beside it stands a small round table, just wide enough for the cup and a book, though tonight it holds only a shaded lamp. You sit. The cushion settles beneath you. Your feet rest on warm tile. Beyond the glass, rain continues through the cedar branches, while inside, the leaves remain still. You take a first sip. The tea is warm, lightly bitter, and brightened by orange. It does not demand attention. It simply marks your arrival. The cup warms both hands when you hold it near your lap. A faint line of steam drifts upward and disappears before reaching the lamp. For several minutes, you do nothing more than sit and listen. Rain touches the glass roof in thousands of small places. The fountain answers from below with its rounded, steady fall. Somewhere beyond the wall, water moves through a downspout with a hollow murmur. These sounds do not compete. They fit together naturally, as if the building has spent many rainy evenings learning how to hold them. Across the conservatory, a row of tall windows faces the valley. The lower panes are clear, while the upper panes hold wavering reflections of the lamps. Now and then, rain gathers into a broad sheet and moves down the glass, briefly smoothing the view beyond. You can see only a few parts of the town from here. A line of lights follows the river. A cluster of amber windows marks the square where the streetcar paused. Higher roofs fade into the blue-gray weather. The distance makes everything below seem settled. You take another sip of tea. The orange peel has softened at the edge of the cup, releasing a little more brightness into the dark tea. The flavor is mild and warm. The biscuit on the plate would be there if you wanted it, but there is no need to decide yet. A narrow path circles the fountain. It is bordered by low planters filled with ferns. Their leaves overlap in neat, repeating shapes, some curved upward, some resting close to the soil. Near the far wall stands a long wooden cabinet with glass doors. Inside are gardening books, small clay pots, and folded squares of linen. Nothing is displayed as a collection. The shelves look useful, cared for, and complete. One cabinet door is slightly open. You notice a stack of clean watering trays on the lower shelf, each one nested inside the next. The repetition of their round edges is pleasing. It suggests an ordinary routine that begins and ends in the same place. The innkeeper returns through the entrance hall. She carries no bag now. She crosses the edge of the conservatory without interrupting the quiet. At the tea table, she checks the warming stand, adds a little hot water to the pot, and replaces the lid. Her movements follow a familiar order. Lift, pour, set down, smooth the linen, turn the handle outward. Each action is small enough to watch without needing to follow. She notices your cup and gives a brief smile. Then she enters a side passage and disappears beyond a cedar door. You remain near the fountain. The rain has become slightly finer. You can tell by the roof, where individual taps have blended into a lighter hush. Along the outer windows, the drops still gather and travel downward in clear paths. A broad leaf beside your chair holds one drop at its tip. The weight grows slowly. The drop lengthens, catches the lamp, and falls into the dark soil below. Another begins to form. You let your gaze rest there for a while. When your cup is half empty, you reach for one oat biscuit. It is thin and lightly crisp, with a plain toasted flavor. It softens quickly with tea. The plate remains covered for the next guest or the next evening. The teapot stays warm. The fountain continues without attention. Your coat is drying in the entrance hall. Your bag is already upstairs. The brass room key rests in your pocket. Each part of your arrival has found its place. You finish the biscuit and set the cup on the round table. The ceramic makes a small, solid sound against the wood. From this chair, you can see a second path leading behind the fountain. It passes beneath an arch of climbing leaves and ends at a window seat built into the stone wall. The seat is covered with a wool cushion and a folded blanket. A lamp stands in a recessed niche above it, shining downward rather than outward. You decide to walk there, not because anything awaits you, but because the few steps offer an easy continuation to the evening. The tile is warm beneath your shoes. You follow the curve of the path, passing the fountain close enough to feel its coolness against one hand. The basin is made of pale stone, smooth at the rim, and darker where water moves over it. Behind the fountain, the plants grow taller. Their leaves create a sheltered passage without hiding the room. Through spaces between them, the entrance hall and tea table remain visible. The window seat faces the cedars. You sit and unfold the blanket across your knees. It is woven from dark green wool, soft from use, with a narrow border in slate blue. The colors match the streetcar, the rain, and the deeper shadows between the trees. The glass beside you is cool. You rest the back of one finger against it for a moment, feeling the clean difference between outside and in. Beyond the window, the covered path curves toward the upper station. Its lamps form a quiet sequence through the cedars. No streetcar waits there now. The rails continue downhill, hidden by trees and mist. A narrow stream runs beside the path. You saw only a glimpse of it when you arrived, but from this window you can follow it farther. It moves through a channel of dark stones, passes beneath a small wooden footbridge, and enters the garden below. The water reflects no single image for long. A lamp stretches across it, breaks around a stone, and joins again in the next pool. You sit with the blanket across your knees until the cup of tea no longer sends up steam. There is no clock in the conservatory. The evening reveals its passing in quieter ways. The lower windows become darker. Reflections inside grow clearer. The rain turns from silver lines to a smooth texture against the glass. At last, the innkeeper appears at the end of the path. She does not come close enough to make you rise. She simply points toward the staircase, then rests her hand against her cheek in the universal sign for sleep. Your room is ready whenever you are. You fold the blanket once and place it back on the window seat. The wool holds a little warmth from your knees. At the tea table, you finish the last sip in your cup. The orange peel rests at the bottom, darkened and curled. You place the cup on the tray beside the pot, leaving the handle turned outward as the innkeeper had done. Then you cross the entrance hall. Your coat remains on the peg. You will not need it again tonight. The staircase is inside the warm part of the hotel, and the room above looks over the same sheltered garden. You touch the brass key through the fabric of your pocket and begin upstairs. The staircase rises in two broad flights around a square landing. Each step is cedar, finished to a low sheen. A runner lies along the center, deep green with a narrow amber border. Wall lamps are placed at comfortable intervals. Their shades direct light downward, so the ceiling remains dim while the steps are easy to see. At the landing, a tall window looks into the upper leaves of the conservatory. Rain slides down the outer glass. On the other side, the garden room spreads below in warm sections. The fountain, the tea table, the curved paths, and the chair where you first sat. From here, the lamps seem to float among the leaves. You continue to the second floor. The upper hall follows the length of the building. On one side are guest rooms. On the other, windows look through the conservatory roof toward the cedars. The rain is quieter here, softened by the glass in the distance. Your room is near the end of the hall. A small brass number is fixed to the cedar door. Beneath it, the same leaf shape has been carved into the wood. The mark is simple enough that you recognize it before thinking about it. You take the key from your pocket. The green cord falls across your palm. The brass has warmed against your coat. You guide it into the lock, turn it once, and hear the latch release with a muted click. The door opens inward. Your bag stands beside a low bench, exactly where the innkeeper left it. The room has a sloped wooden ceiling and one wide window overlooking the garden. A bed rests beneath the lower side of the roof, covered with a white linen quilt. Near the window is a small table with a shaded amber lamp. Nothing in the room feels arranged for display. It has been prepared for use. A ceramic pitcher and basin stand on a cedar washstand. Beside them lies a folded towel. A green wool blanket rests across the foot of the bed, echoing the one in the conservatory. The air carries a light cedar scent. You enter and close the door. The latch settles into place. Rain continues beyond the window, but the room holds its own still warmth. The walls, floor, and ceiling seem to gather the lamp glow rather than reflect it brightly. You set the key on the small table. The brass leaf faces upward. For a moment, you stand by the window and look down into the conservatory. From this angle, the glass roof forms a long pattern of dark frames and rain-polished panes. The fountain is partly hidden by leaves, though its sound reaches you faintly through the building. Farther away, the covered path leads back through the cedars. Its lamps are fewer now, because several have dimmed for the night. The path remains clear. You draw the curtain halfway. This leaves a narrow view of rain and branches, while making the room feel more enclosed. The curtain is heavy linen, smooth beneath your hand. It falls into straight folds and stays where you place it. Your bag opens easily on the bench. Inside are the few things needed for one night: a clean shirt, a small toiletry case, and a pair of wool socks. You take them out in a simple order and place them on the bench. There is no closet to organize, no drawer that needs filling. The bag can remain where it is. You remove your shoes and set them together beneath the bench. The floorboards are warm enough through your socks. Then you cross to the washstand. The pitcher holds warm water. When you pour it into the basin, the sound is rounded and low. A little steam gathers above the ceramic surface and disappears in the lamplight. You wash your hands. The water takes away the last cool trace of the streetcar platform. The towel is thick, clean, and slightly rough beneath your fingers. You dry each hand without haste and fold the towel back along its original crease. The innkeeper has left a second cup of tea on a covered tray near the bed. It is a lighter blend than the tea downstairs, with a strip of orange peel resting beside the cup rather than inside it. You lift the lid from the small pot. Warm citrus and cedar meet in the room's still air. You pour only half a cup. The stream is quiet. You replace the lid, set the handle outward, and carry the cup to the table by the window. The ritual needs no instructions. Each object suggests the next small action. Pour the water, fold the towel, set down the key, draw the curtain, turn the cup so the handle rests comfortably beneath your fingers. You sit on the chair by the window. The cushion gives slightly. The cup warms your hand. Outside, the rain moves over the cedar branches and along the conservatory roof in the same steady pattern you heard below. The town is hidden from this angle. There are only the near trees, the glass roof, and a few amber lamps beside the path. You taste the tea. It is mild, touched with orange, and warm enough to sip slowly. The brass key lies beside the lamp. Its green cord curves across the wood. The stamped leaf catches a narrow line of light. Earlier, the token carried the same small mark. It passed into the fare box and stayed with the streetcar. The key has brought the shape a little farther, all the way to this room. By morning, you will return the key to the desk. Nothing needs to be kept. The token and key belong to the route, doing their work for each traveler and then returning to their places. For tonight, the key rests beside you. You finish half the tea and leave the remainder in the cup. It will stay warm for a while beneath the shade of the lamp. The bed is already turned down. One corner of the white quilt has been folded neatly toward the foot. Beneath it, the sheet lies smooth and cool. The green blanket is within reach if the room grows cooler near morning. You stand and begin the last few preparations. Your coat remains downstairs, drying on its cedar peg. Your shoes are beneath the bench. Your bag is open but settled. The curtain is halfway drawn. The door is closed. You change into the clean shirt and fold the clothes from the day on the bench, wool over cotton, sleeves brought inward. The shape becomes smaller with each fold. You place the folded clothes beside the bag. The movements are familiar and uncomplicated. Nothing needs to be perfect. The bench has room. The bag will wait. At the washstand, you pour a little more warm water into the basin. You wash your face, then pat it dry with the folded towel. The water cools slightly while you stand there. The cedar scent remains light in the room. You empty the basin into the covered vessel beneath the stand. Rinse it with a final pour and return it to its place. The pitcher is still half full. The room now asks for almost nothing. You turn down the lamp near the washstand. Its glow lowers until only the window lamp and the wall light beside the bed remain. The change is gradual. The wood grows deeper in color. The white quilt becomes less bright. Rain reflections fade from the floor. You carry the teacup to the bedside table. The brass key stays beside the window lamp for one more moment. Then you pick it up, cross the room, and place it on the bedside table as well. The green cord forms a small circle beside the cup. You turn back the quilt and sit on the edge of the bed. The mattress settles beneath you. The linen feels cool at first, then quickly takes on your warmth. You pull the green blanket a little closer to the pillow, though you do not need it yet. Its wool surface is soft and lightly textured beneath your palm. The rain continues. It has followed the whole route without changing its nature. It darkened the rails below, tapped the streetcar roof, traced the covered path, and moved across the conservatory glass. Now it rests against the wide window of your room. You lift your feet from the warm floor and lie back against the pillow. The sheet settles over you. The white quilt follows, light at first across your legs, and then comfortably even from foot to shoulder. You draw the green blanket over the lower half of the bed, adding only the amount of warmth you want. The wall light remains on. Its amber shade casts a small circle across the cedar boards. The light does not reach the far corners strongly. It rests near the bed, the cup, and the brass key. You take one final sip of tea. The flavor has cooled enough to become softer. Orange remains at the edge, familiar from the conservatory below. You return the cup to the table without needing to look for its place. The key lies beside it. Beyond the half-drawn curtain, rain threads down the window. The cedar branches move only when water gathers and slips from one level to the next. Each branch lowers slightly, releases its weight, and rises. The conservatory roof receives the same rain below. You can hear it in 2 layers now. The nearest drops touch the window with a fine, close sound. Farther down, the glass roof carries a broader hush. Beneath both is the fountain. Its water is faint from upstairs, yet steady enough to recognize. The sound rises through the warm building, smooth and rounded, returning to its basin again and again. The streetcar is no longer audible. Still, its rhythm remains easy to remember. The measured wheels, the low motor, the brief bell, and the polished bench all belong to the part of the evening that has already completed itself. The car has gone downhill. The operator knows the rails. The covered stops wait beneath their green roofs. Water runs beside the curb in narrow ribbons. None of that requires your attention. The hotel holds the upper hill. The entrance door is closed against the rain. Your coat dries on its cedar peg. The teapot downstairs rests on its warming stand. The paths through the plants remain clear beneath amber lamps. Here in the room, the curtain rests in straight linen folds. The bag stays on the bench. The shoes remain together below it. The towel has returned to its place at the washstand. Every object has become still. You reach toward the wall light and turn the small brass switch. The room dims. Only the lamp near the window remains, shaded and low. Its reflection appears in the glass as a single amber shape among the dark cedar branches. The brass key catches one last edge of light. You let your hand rest on the quilt. The linen is smooth beneath your fingers. Below it, the bed is warm. Across your feet, the wool blanket adds a quiet, steady weight. Rain continues at the window. There is no change to follow. A drop gathers, travels, and joins another. A branch lowers, releases the water, and becomes still again. The fountain continues below. Water rises a few inches. Water returns to stone. The basin receives it. The lamp beside the window can remain on for a little while. Its shade keeps the light low. The glass holds its reflection close to the room. Your eyes may rest on that amber shape, or on the darker line of the curtain, or nowhere in particular. The day has moved farther away. First came the lower stop, then the warm car, then the rising streets. The route curved through rain and cedar until it reached the garden. Each part gave way to the next without asking you to hurry. Now the route has become very small. From the pillow to the quilt, from the quilt to the green blanket, from the blanket to the quiet weight of your hand. The sounds become simpler as you listen. Rain nearby, rain below, water returning to the fountain. There is warmth in the room and coolness beyond the glass. The window keeps one on each side. The cedar walls hold the warmth close. Your breathing finds its own pace. The cup stays on the table. The key stays beside it. The leaf stamped into the brass remains turned toward the low lamp. though soon even that small detail becomes difficult to see. The amber reflection in the window grows softer. Rain passes through it. For a moment, the light seems to rest on the branches outside. Then the glass darkens again, and the reflection returns to the room. Nothing else enters. Nothing else begins. The fountain continues its small circle beneath the conservatory roof. The rain continues along the panes. The cedar branches receive the water and let it go. The bed holds its warmth. The quilt stays smooth beneath your hand. The green blanket rests across your feet. The hotel remains settled on the hill, above the covered path and the waiting rails. Its windows glow through the rain, not brightly, only enough to mark a sheltered place among the trees. Downstairs, the lamps remain low. Upstairs, your room grows quieter. The sounds do not stop. They simply move farther from the center of your attention. Rain at the window, water over stone, a warm building at rest. The low lamp waits without needing to be watched. The key rests without needing to be held. The route is complete without needing to be remembered. And through the long, rain-darkened night, the garden roof continues to gather each drop and guide it gently away.